Dale Evans, known as the Queen of the West, spent her whole life with cowboy hero Roy Rogers. Their stories of love and faith won people's hearts. But behind the scenes, Dale's journey was full of lies, tragedies, and a shocking truth about her husband that shocked everyone. In her last years, she told the truth that had been bothering her for decades, which caused her a lot of physical and mental pain. What was the worst thing Dale knew but couldn't keep secret any longer? Dale Evans wasn't always the beautiful cowgirl you see in movies. Frances Octavia Smith was her given name when she was born in Uvalde, Texas, on October 31, 1912. Her early years were hard, full of family problems and broken hearts. Frances, or Francie as she was sometimes known, lived with her uncle, Dr. L.D. Massey, an internal medicine doctor in Osceola, Arkansas, for a lot of her childhood. She thought that living with her uncle would give her some security. But Frances, who was young, still had to deal with problems and insecurity. Frances did something risky when she was only 14 years old. She ran away with a man named Thomas F. Fox. She had Thomas F. Fox Jr. when she was 15. It wasn't the fairy tale she had hoped for. After only 1 year, her young husband left her, leaving Frances in Memphis, Tennessee as a single mother. All of a sudden, she was by herself, trying to raise a child and follow her music dream. Frances wasn't giving up, though. When she moved to Memphis, she got singing jobs at WMC and Rec, where she also played the piano and gained a small fan base. Life wasn't easy, but it was a start. By 1929, she was no longer married, and her hopes of becoming a singer still seemed far away. Then there was a big change, a new name. A station manager at WOS in Louisville, Kentucky proposed a more interesting name. Dale Evans is one that would be easy for announcers to say. It had a bright, snappy sound that stood out. Frances was happy about it because she thought a new name would help her start over. As a young singer, Dale found her voice as a jazz, swing, and big band singer. People loved her singing because it was both smooth and strong. Because of how good she was, she got a screen test, which led to a deal with 20th Century Fox Studios. Dale was finally getting some attention, but there were some conditions. The movie industry wanted her image to be flawless, spotless, pure, and free of any scandal. This is why studio execs made up a story. Dale was not a single mom. She was Tommy's single sister. Tommy was really her son, Thomas F. Fox Jr., but the truth was kept secret. It hurt to lie. However, Dale had to go along with in order to keep her job. Dale's early work was hard, and so was her love life. She tried again after her first marriage to Fox didn't work out. She got married to August Wayne Johns in 1929. This marriage lasted until 1935, but they didn't have any kids or be very happy together. Dale kept going in his work and in his love life. In 1937, she married Robert Dale Butts, who played piano and put together music for her. This marriage was more about working together than about being in love. They worked on Dale's singing business together, but their relationship was having a hard time. By 1946, Dale and Butts were no longer married. That was the end of another failed marriage. Dale was more than just a voice on the radio while she worked at 20th Century Fox. A star was being made out of her. Her name was getting bigger. She was cast as the lead singer on the Edgar Bergen Charlie McCarthy show. It gave her a huge boost and helped her reach more people. Dale was also beginning to look like a cowboy. Some of her signature clothes were pink diamond cowboy boots and embroidered white leather gauntlets. These pieces gave her country style a touch of glitz. Dale Evans married Roy Rogers at the Flying L Ranch in Davis, Oklahoma, on the last night of 1947. It wasn't just any wedding. It was the coming together of two Hollywood stars. Roger was married for the third time, and Dale had been married 4 times before. They became famous together on TV for more than a year before they got married. They met on the set of Home in Oklahoma. It wasn't just for the cameras that they got along. They teamed up in business and in life, and their life together was full of love, loss, and lots of cowboy hats. Not long after the wedding, they chose to be honest. There was a story going around for years that her son Tommy was really her young brother. Dale was ready to clear things up now that he was married to Rogers. Tommy was her son, not a brother or sister. When the truth came out, Rogers took Dale's son as his own. He already had 3 kids from his second marriage, Cheryl, Linda, and Roy Jr. Dusty. Robin Elizabeth was born in 1950, the couple's first child together. It was a happy time, but then it was heartbreaking. Robin had a lot of health problems because she was born with Down syndrome. She passed away soon before her second birthday because of problems. Dale was very sad, but she used her sadness to make a plan. Angel Unaware is a book she wrote about Robin's short life. It was more than just a birthday present. It was a call for people to change how they think about kids who have developmental challenges. The Oklahoma County Council for Mentally Retarded Children was called the Dale Rogers Training Center in her honor because of how much she helped. Dale kept writing a lot of books. Most of them were religious and meant to give parents who were going through similar problems hope. Roy and Dale kept going after Robin. They added 4 more children to their mixed-race family by adopting Mimi, Dodie, Sandy, and Debbie. Even though they had busy jobs, they tried to give all of their children a loving home. The couple's on-screen chemistry led to huge success in real life. They were on The Roy Rogers Show from 1951 to 1957. Roy rode Trigger, while Dale rode Buttermilk, her trusty buckskin horse. The show showed off their parts as cowboys and cowgirls. Dale did more than just smile and sing, though. She added a touch of kindness and a word of faith, telling people to turn to God when they were having a hard time. There was more to Dale than just the screen, though. The Roy Rogers and Dale Evans Show was a comedy western entertainment show that she co-hosted with Roy in 1962. Dale had already been very open about her Christian views by that time. She used her fame to get the word out. Faith is often a part of the show's themes. She spoke at the Project Prayer Rally at the Shrine Auditorium in Los Angeles in 1964, which was a big step into politics for her. The rally's goal was to bring back required school prayer, which had been thrown out by the Supreme Court twice. Dale stood in front of 2,500 people and said, "All of America, it's time to stand up and be counted. Let our kids be free and learn about the Lord." She was joined by Hollywood stars like Pat Boone, Walter Brennan, and Rhonda Fleming, who all got behind the cause. And when the 1964 race for president came around, Dale once again showed her political views. She voted for Barry Goldwater, a conservative candidate who was known for being very strict about American ideals. Dale's support wasn't just empty words. She worked hard to get Goldwater's message out there, using her Christian values to help her. It wasn't a surprise. Dale's public image was based on his faith, his family, and his love of country. Dale turned her attention back to singing in the 1920s and 1976. Staying true to her faith, she made several albums of sacred songs by herself. The songs were simple but strong, with themes of love, redemption, and hope. Dale and Roy stayed a beloved part of American society even as TV shows changed. During the 1980s, they showed old movies on the Nashville network, which made new viewers feel nostalgic. A new era began for Dale in the 1990s. She started her own religious TV show, where she shared messages of faith and hope with fans. She kept telling her story, talking about her problems and how she was sure that God had a plan for everyone. Dale stayed a strong person even as Roy's health got worse. He died in 1998, and she was by his side until then. They had been together for over 50 years. Rogers and Evans bought a huge 160-acre ranch near Chatsworth, California in 1955. Over time, they added on to it and made it 300 acres. It was a beautiful place for 2 Western stars to be. But tragedy hit them hard, even though the scenery was beautiful and they were successful in Hollywood. Debbie, their foster daughter, died in a terrible church bus accident in 1964. She was only 12 years old. It was a terrible blow that gave Dale and Roy chills to the core. The accident happened on a trip to church that was supposed to be fun. Debbie died too soon, though, because the bus lost control. Dale was very upset about the loss. It was one of the worst times of her life, and she often said that no parent should have to bury their kid. Dale has changed since Debbie died. Is there something she could have done to protect her daughter? She felt very guilty. She stayed true to her faith, even though she was in a lot of pain, because she thought Debbie was in a better place with their late daughter, Robin. A tragedy made Roy and Dale decide to do something that would change their lives. They moved from the ranch they loved in Chatsworth to the 67-acre Double R Bar Ranch in Apple Valley, California. It was a new start, But Dale couldn't get rid of the thoughts of Debbie's death. She worked hard and kept talking in public about faith and sticking with things even when they got hard. But Dale's tone changed. Her message got more real and raw, and she often talked about grief and how hard it is to keep your faith alive when you're going through unbearable pain. Dale and Roy were partners in every sense of the word during their marriage, but things didn't always go smoothly between them. After a while, Dale started to talk about some of the problems she had. She never said anything bad about Roy in public, but she did make hints about how hard their lifestyle was, how strict Roy was as a father, and how their jobs made it hard for them to spend time with their family. She talked about times when she felt alone, especially when Roy was shooting or touring. Dale was honest in relationships besides her marriage. She also talked about the things she felt bad about, especially the lies she had to tell herself early in her career. She said that the choice to lie about her son Tommy being her brother for so many years still bothered her, even after she told everyone the truth. She carried it with her in secret, and it made the pain she felt all her life worse. Dale never gave up on his faith, his family, and love, even when things were hard. Dodie, her daughter, talks a lot about how Dale's strength touched her own life. Dodie says that her mom was a strong woman. She went through a lot of bad things, but she always found a way to keep going. Dale Evans died on February 7, 2001, at the age of 88. This was only 3 years after Roy's death. In her last years, her health got worse, but she was still determined to tell her story and spread her faith. Dodie thinks of her mother's last days as calm, Dale saying that she was ready to meet Roy and her children again in heaven. To respect her parents' memory, Dodie keeps going to events and telling stories about her childhood as a Rogers Evans family member. As much as her parents were loved Hollywood stars, she says they were also real people who had real problems. Dodie says that Mom wasn't afraid to tell the truth. She thought people should share both the good and the bad, because that's what completes a person. They were heroes, not just stars. Dale Evans and Roy Rogers. Their influence goes beyond movies and country music charts. They changed the Western genre and inspired fans of all ages. The Hollywood Walk of Fame actually has their name carved into stone. There are 2 stars for Dale, one for radio at 6638 Hollywood Boulevard and one for TV at 1737 Vine Street. These stars show not only how successful she is, but also how forward-thinking she is in the entertainment business. Roy Rogers has his own 3 stars. A lot of his movie, TV, and radio stars are grouped together on Vine Street. This trio is very rare and shows how influential he is in many areas. In 1983 and 1996, Roy also won the Golden Boot Award and then the Golden Boot Founders Award, honoring how he changed the Western genre. Dale and Roy were both inducted into the Western Performers Hall of Fame at the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum in Oklahoma City in 1976. What a great honor for 2 people who became symbols of the Western way of life. In 1995, Dale went back to the same Hall of Fame, but this time she was inducted into the National Cowgirl Museum and Hall of Fame in Fort Worth, Texas. He was also recognized for being an original member of the band that got Roy his start in music, the Sons of the Pioneers. Dale also made waves in the music business. She was named number 34 on CMT's list of the 40 greatest women in country music in 2002. People still love her song Happy Trails, which represents not only a job but also a way of life. The fact that Roy was inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame adds to the couple's musical heritage, twice. The first time was in 1980 as a member of the Sons of the Pioneers. The second time was in 1988 as a solo act. He was still the only person to have this double award in August 2022. The couple's story was also written about on the Palm Springs Walk of Stars, where a Golden Palm Star was given to them in 2001. But their impact goes beyond awards and honors. Dale has had an effect on activism as well. Her work with kids who had special needs was ahead of its time, and the Dale Rogers Training Center in Oklahoma is a tribute to it. Using her own story to encourage kindness and understanding, she changed how people thought about kids with developmental problems. Roy left behind a different kind of heritage. He was happy that he was Choctaw. A group of Western tribes named him Outstanding Indian Citizen of the Year in 1967. Even though he became one of the most famous cowboys in the world, This honor showed how much he cared about protecting Native American culture. Even pop culture has been changed by their work. Some songs, like Should Have Been a Cowboy by Toby Keith, If I Had a Boat by Lyle Lovett, and Roy Rogers by Elton John, talk about Roy Rogers. Roy even has a small role in Randy Travis's Heroes and Friends song video. In the movie Die Hard, Bruce Willis's character John McClane goes by the name Roy when he says, "I was always kind of partial to Roy Rogers." It's a small nod, but it shows how deeply Roy's image has become ingrained in the American mind. Cheryl Rogers Barnett, Dale's daughter, wrote Cowboy Princess Life with My Parents, which tells more of her story. Dale Evans and Roy Rogers. The love, battles, and lessons learned by two of America's most beloved stars are told in Cheryl's book, which gives an intimate look at life behind the scenes. Together with Roy, Dale was admitted into the National Multicultural Western Heritage Museum in 2018. This made their roles as cultural icons even stronger. Dale will always be a role model because she inspired young women, especially those who didn't have many options. In Roy's mind, his name still stands for the ideal Western